Right, I'm wicked this. This is now the second attempt at recording this anyway. So today I want to talk about the time I had fallen out with a particular friend, and it was just some like nasty behaviour, I suppose, that had gone on inside me. And anyway, I was about to leave my old job. God was moving me on to a new job, and it was really clear that God was wanting me to make it right with this person that I had worked with, because my attitude towards her wasn't right. So this new nurse had come to work with us. She was a bit older than me. We always work night shift. She was on night shift. I always done night shift, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday night duty, because of childcare. I've done that for a couple of years. Don't recommend that, but hey ho, it sorted out my childcare issues, and it meant I could be off all week with the kids. So I was doing the night shift, and this new nurse starts, and I thought she was hilarious, but she was inappropriate. Let's use that word, inappropriate. Some of her behaviours and her conversations were inappropriate. Completely inappropriate for nursing. Completely inappropriate for me to be entertaining as supposedly a Christian. Obviously was living my life the way I wanted to. And you find rightly her conversations and stuff like that is not something that I should have been involved with or even found funny. And I'm sure if she was to see this, she'd probably say it herself. So I'm not slabbering behind her back. She would probably say herself, yeah, like those conversations were wild. So that was grand. So I become friendly with her on shift and things, and I had a couple of other like closer friends that I'd worked with that I maybe would have met up with outside of work and stuff, but I hadn't met up with this girl. It was all just in work, and I don't know what it was, but just something clicked with us. But all the while I knew that I was like, should she be my friend? Do you know, I don't know why I like befriended her, because she wasn't a good example, put it that way, then, you know, with her talking or things like that. That would have been someone that I would have really avoided before, but no, like I decided she was going to be my BFF on night shift. She always worked the weekend shifts as well, had breaks and stuff together. So that was fine. My other friend was getting married, and I was invited to the evening do, and I think my other friend wasn't like really that friendly with her. She thought she was crazy. She had better morals than I had, to be fair. Well, not crazy, but she was just like, she didn't really know her very well, so she wasn't gonna invite her, because obviously weddings are really expensive and cost a lot of money, and she had a big family and stuff. So I think it was her sister-in-law or whatever, she was pregnant and she had become unwell or gone into early labour, so her space had become available during the day, and my friend invited me to go to her wedding for the full day instead of the evening, and I was like, that's fine, that's great. I was like, what do I do about this, you know? Am I going to go, am I not? It's short notice, and do I have an outfit, blah blah blah, which is stressful. And usually I don't be stressed by anything like that. I'm like, yeah, I'll shove this on, or have that dress, whatever. But I was like, oh, I need to get an outfit and all this. And I said to my other friend that this other friend had invited me to the all-day wedding, and she'd sort of texted a few things, and I didn't agree with it. And something in me just was like, why? Something in me just turned, like, I can't even explain it. Something in me just turned against her and was like, stop texting me, you know, why are you why are you saying that or whatever, and I can't even remember all what was said, but basically I stopped speaking to her. I wouldn't answer her calls. I stopped speaking to her. Wouldn't entertain her. Just got a really adverse reaction to her, put it that way, compared to her being my friend. And that was that. And I didn't speak to her again. She tried phone calling me. I didn't answer the phone. And then I remember it was at my daughter's birthday party. We were like a pizzeria place, and her name had come, was ringing. My husband said to me, you need to answer that. You need to talk to that girl. And I was like, well, now's not the time. It's in the middle of the child's party or whatever, and I'm not going to go out, and I know what it's about and the conversation that needs to be had. And I was like, I'll contact her when I get home. And I felt really guilty, really, really guilty. And we went home, and I left a voice note explaining everything and how I felt and all this, and sent it to her, and it didn't get sent. So she blocked me on WhatsApp. So she never got the full explanation of what I thought was happening. And you know, sometimes that's just the Lord is protecting us from saying things to people that maybe would have turned out hurtful, or really have severed a relationship that the Lord wanted me to have with her. So that was that, and I didn't speak to her well over a year. I got really bitter, and I was saying things and working stuff about her, and she wasn't doing herself any good. She was getting herself into bother and things like that, and work. And anyway, that was nothing to do with me, because I had come off night shifts and everything by then, and had gone on to day shifts, and my life had started to fall apart. So within the last 6 months, both our lives were falling apart. There was stuff going on at work with her, and my private life was falling to bits, and it was just a disaster. But neither of us knew really fully what was going on in each other's lives. It was all like, not hearsay, but it was like through other people. But she knew that I was talking about her in the staff room, but she never talked about me. She would have heard other people saying stuff about my personal life, and she would have defended me. And yeah, and I didn't know that. I didn't know any of this was going on. So that was fine. I knew I was leaving. I knew God had a new job for me, and he'd brought that all forward. And there's always these transition phases in your life whenever God is doing something new, before you step over into that new chapter or new season of your life. There's a wee transition phase, and that would be my experience. And I was in my transition phase. I had accepted God was making me leave there to go to a new job, and I was just being obedient. I mean, I loved my job in emergency care too much. It had become an idol to me, and it was being removed. God was removing it, and I knew that with all my heart. And this was the stage where I had got the new job, and now I was waiting to move, and they hadn't given me a start date, but I'd had my notice in. And at this point I was like, get me out of here, get me out of here. I'd become so tired, just emotionally, like, spiritually drained, just hard, but was really looking forward. Like, I was so eager to move on, to move this new job, because I just knew God was going to bless me in that. I knew, I was like eager. This is always me. It's like, right, let's just forget what happened there and let's move on to the next thing and fix it, try to fix everything. My life will be so much better if I just fix and move now. But God was like, no, no. And that would be true for anything in my life. God will go, you can have this, but you gotta wait. It's the same in my house. It was the same with my nursing career. Lots of stuff that they blessed me with. There's always this period of waiting, like to move into this new phase of your life before, well, it's supposed to be making sure that you're ready for it. God, making sure you're ready so you don't mess it up. So I'm sitting waiting for my start date, and I knew it was coming up like at the end of the January or something. And the Lord was making me fix things and put things right. And I made the video on returning all the stolen stuff. So there was stuff going on in my personal life, and things that I was doing was I was trying to, like, true repentance and trying to fix things that I knew knowingly had done that I knew was wrong. It's like returning all the stuff that I had stolen that didn't belong to me. So this was just another incident where God was asking me to fix this relationship with this nurse. And the thing is, she had left where she lived, which was like probably an hour odd drive from where she lives now. And she sold the house, moved out, and then moved down closer to where I lived. Her older sons were living where I lived, and she thought this would be a good idea to move down closer to them so they'd come see her. And also she knew I had only lived up the road, and she had a friend there, so she had moved because those were influences there. And then I just unfriended her, just delete. Oh dear. So I knew this relationship needed to be restored. So I knew that her car, she'd got herself a lovely car. I'll just put a lovely car and not say or advertise or even embarrass anybody or anything. And it broke down. So it had been broke down for quite a while, and I knew that she was getting the train from where she lived down into Belfast, and then she was getting the glider from Belfast up to where we worked, the hospital we worked in. And that would have been an all-round journey on public transport. Here in Northern Ireland, the public transport is not like anywhere else in the world. It is dire. There's only certain places that you can get, and then you need to get another bus to get there. And yeah, it's just really backward. It's a small country, so it's not very forward thinking. We're all a wee bit old fashioned and everybody drives a car. So I knew she was doing this, and after night shift and everything, I'm sure she was knackered. Coming off the 12-hour shift, down to the bus into Belfast, train up to where she lived, and then a decent walk from where she lived to the house. So I was like, whatever, to begin with. But then the Lord was like, fix it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And he was like, fix it. And my conscience was eating away at me as the Holy Spirit was just, do this, fix this, don't leave here, fix this. This is going on and on. And I went to the toilet one evening. It was after shift, because I was just on day shifts at the time, and I was sitting in the toilet, and I knew she was outside, and I was like, I'm going to have to ask her, does she want to lift home? Because I'm driving by her house. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't do this. What if she says no? What if she shouts at me? What if she's like, whatever? I can't do this. And I was like, you can. Do it. Go out there now. Do it. So I come out of the toilet and I'm like, right, I'm going to do this. What's the worst that could happen? She could say, way off, whatever. And then I know where I stand. And maybe the Lord's not telling me to do this. So I goes ahead and I comes out of the toilet and she's standing there and I just say, do you want a lift home? she looks at me and she says, what? I says, I know you have to go and get the bus and the train and everything, just want to lift home. Sure, I'm going that way. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this then. And I was like, yeah. And God had completely changed my heart. Like, my heart was so soft. Even though I really did not want to do it because it felt really awkward, I knew it was the right thing to do. So this was another lesson in righteousness. I just had to make it right with her, and I couldn't leave it hanging. So that was grand. So she got in the car. That was fine, and we just small talked on the way home, and out she got, and that was okay. And I was like, right, well, that wasn't too bad. I mean, there we go, that's that done. And the Lord was like, no, text her and tell her that you're on these shifts and that you're willing to give her a lift. And I was like, but at the same time, I was like, I know this is the right thing to do. I know I need to be obedient. I am so done living my life the wrong way. The wrong way takes your peace. The wrong way robs your joy. The wrong way is just hard work. You're always angry, you're always falling out with people, you're always, it's such an effort to get anywhere. And I knew God had given me a new job, and I knew He was working something in my life, and I just really needed to be obedient because I was just done. I was done running. I was done working in my own strength. I was done. I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I was determined to make this right, but I knew it was going to be hard, and it was like through gritted teeth, because it's such an awkward position to be in. I knew where my heart was before and what I was feeling and what I had said about her. And talk about being humbled. The Lord humbled me something shocking. This was such a process. So I texted her and I said, dear, these are the shifts I'm going on, and if you need a lift, whatever, those are the days I'm on, let me know. And she texts me again, and she's like, if you don't mind, would you give me a lift? No, do you know what? That's wrong. There was one night we were walking into work, I think, and then I just started talking to her because it was like, just be pleasant, Emma. Don't be, just be nice. And, well, not nice, but kind. Just be kind. Just get over yourself. So I just started talking to her, and then I had to give her the lift home. And then she texted me and she was like, do you mind, could you give me a lift on this day? And I was like, all right, God, so we're doing this then. And I was on a good few shifts, and I was like, okay, well, she's all right with this, she's reaching out. So I give her a lift. And then that night she went to get like the glider home, and I stopped and I was like, what are you doing? Get in the car. Like, eyes up. Going the whole way across town, and just get in, like, if you left home. She was like, you sure? And I was like, get in, just get in, for goodness sake. So away we went, and that night she came, when we were on our way home, she was talking to me about how she felt about us falling out and everything, and she got a bit upset. I've never felt so guilty in all my life, and the thing is, I knew sitting there, even saying sorry to her was not enough. It just didn't seem heartfelt enough. It was like, I was like, oh, this is wild. Like even like tap her or pat her on the back or hug her. I just don't even think nothing was gonna fix that. Like, it was just, I had been so mean. So, 'cause I was like, oh, this is wild. Like even like tap her or pat her on the back or hug her. I just don't even think nothing was gonna fix that. Like, it was just, I had been so mean. So I, 'cause I was like, oh, this is wild. Like even like tap her or pat her on the back or hug her. I just don't even think nothing was gonna fix that. Like, it was just, I had been so mean. just said to her, look, there's nothing I'm going to say here that's going to make this any better. But I do want you to know that I'm sorry for how I behaved and all that. And she's like, you know, Emma, I know, because I had said to her then, I was like, I haven't said stuff about you in the staff room. And she's like, yeah, no. She said, no. Because it got back to me that you were and stuff. She says, but you know, Emma, I want to tell you something. I've never backbited you. I've always stuck up for you. And when people were saying stuff about what was going on in your life, I was like, you need to stop talking about that girl, because that's not funny. And she's going through like a tough time, and she would have stuck up for me. And then of course that made me feel even more guilty, that this girl is doing the opposite of what I'd been doing all along. And then she told me she was having health issues, and they were really serious health issues, and she was still in work. And I was like, why are you in work? And she said, well, I need to pay my bills and I need to do the overtime. If I go off in a sec, it's basic wage and I can't pay my bills. And what am I going to do? Sit at home and worry about what's going to happen to me? I just have to keep going. And I was like, oh my goodness, all this time this girl has been suffering. This girl has been going through all this. And to tell you the truth, I had looked at her in work a couple of times and I thought, she's not well. And I still didn't have the compassion in me to go and say, are you alright? Like, you know, are you sick or what's going on? No, I just played on. So when she had told me all this, it didn't hurt me. It really humbled me. It humbled me, because then I could see all what was going on in her life, and how she was having a really hard time, and all the while I'm doing this here behind her back. And then I wondered why my life's blown up. So you reap what you sow, and that is a godly principle. You reap what you sow. Are you going to sow bitterness, and you're going to sow lack of compassion and all those fruits of the Spirit? If you don't have any of them, don't expect to receive them of people. Yet she did give them. She didn't speak against me. She was kind, and she just let me go on. She knew she wasn't gonna be able to force to change me or make me see her way or anything like that. So she just left me, and that is probably the best thing to do. You let people go and you let God deal with their heart, and He's better at it than we are, for sure, because we act in the flesh. God has a divine way of dealing with people in their sin or in their wickedness or in their hard-heartedness, I suppose. It's really what was going on with me. So then I had brought her back and forward to work a few times, and then I had realised I was going to leave work. I was going to start a new job, and how was she going to get back and forward to work? Like, so that's the next video I'm going to do, because these videos would probably be too long. But only until I fixed my relationship with her was God ready to let me leave that old employment, because I wouldn't have seen her again after that. And never got the opportunity to make that right. And that's what, I am not a righteous person. None of us are righteous, but we're righteous because God makes us righteous. And God was just gently, Emma, fix this, Emma, fix that, do this, go and make that right. And was really eating away at my heart until I was obedient. And it's about obedience. There's a scripture in the Bible, and it says, obedience is better than sacrifice. Can I remember where that is? I'm thinking Hebrews. don't quote me on that. Google it. So I was just obedient. And any time I've been obedient, and most of the time I'm like, what is going on here? I don't know. Oh, I don't know how this is going to work out. It always works out. If God's telling you to go, if God is for you, who can be against you? So just be obedient, follow his leading, because it'll only bring good. And it said, now, is that relationship 100% better? No. Do I see her every day? No. Do I see her every week? I would send her a text message now and again. She would send me one. But at least I know in my heart that our relationship was not fixed, but repaired. And she actually has started talking to me about, she was reading her Bible and praying, and how she was relying on her faith to help her make decisions and push through her life. And if you just look at that, God, we were separated, and neither of us were living our lives right or doing things that God liked. And then when God brought us back into alignment and helped us fix that, both of us ended up searching for God in that whole situation. And it just blows my mind, because I didn't know what she was doing with God, and she didn't know what I was doing either. It's only whenever we had spoke to each other, when our hearts were right, does God allow that to happen, for people to come together and, sort stuff out. So that is a lesson on righteousness, and that is a lesson in my life where God wouldn't release me from that old job. And that might be true for your lives. You're like, why can't I move? Why can't I do this now? Why can't I get anywhere? Maybe you need to put a few things right in your life. Ask God to help guide you and show you where you need to do that, so that you can move on. Close that door. Fix it and close that door, so that you can move on, because that would have ate away at me. I would always have sat and thought about that and how disgusted I was with my behaviour. So maybe that's just something God's dealing with you about. And there's a verse in the Bible, and this is I've quoted this before. It's a gentle word, cast out anger or something like that. And I always keep that in my mind, is don't retaliate, just be kind. Oh, that was my car got bashed up, the big lorry at the front of the car. Just kind words, gentleness, just answer with gentleness, and you should get a softer response. And that is, I've tried and tested that, it definitely works. So that's that lesson. The next video I'll do is on what happened after that.